So this is a time, an opportunity for systemic change across the board, in my humble opinion, because as Leonard Cohen says, look for the cracks. That's where the light gets in. So we have, I used to say, a trifecta of a global pandemic, economic shutdown, and movement for Black liberation, which pulls in all sorts of other constituencies who have similar aims to be fully equal, have all the opportunities, and thrive. Now, I almost need a word for whatever quadfecta is, because we're about to enter all of the fire and storm season related to climate change. It sounds very daunting, but I think this presents an opportunity to shoot the moon, to win every hand, every suit, all at the same time. Because honestly, these systems are massive, highly overlapping, interdependent, and inter-synergistic. So since we last talked, of course, we are continuing to respond to the needs of COVID, from hunger to livelihood pivots to health response. And of course, we're continuing to respond to the economic shutdown in terms of policy work around protection from financial predation, which always is on the rise during economic recessions, to hoping that they extend the unemployment benefit, to being a bank that issued PPP loans on the order of $190 million of them to save 18,000, 19,000 jobs. So there's still all that work going on, but now we layer over Movement for Black Lives and racial uprisings that are going to help us get finally to a beloved community that recognizes full equality, opportunity, thriving, etc., for not just Black Americans, but for all the other constituencies who come along with them, but starting first and foremost with African American liberation movement. It just creates more opportunity to change these massive status quo systems for the better. So to use one example, we are working on something called Growing the Table, an initiative within the Farm to Family Partnership. The Farm to Family Partnership is 15 years old. It has always paid the pick and pack out expense to rescue harvest from landfill and redirect it toward food banks. It's actually good for the growers and it's good for the food banks, but it is, in my view, an underutilized opportunity that is now brought into focus by the quadfecta that we're facing. So we've been asked to help support that with more resources, but we're going to change the program in 3 important aspects. Right now, 220 growers and packers meet all of the needs of the food bank, about 160 million pounds of food each year. And the food banks are the only distribution point. Post-COVID, that hunger, that food aid need is off the charts. 160 million pounds is not going to do it. And the possibility of wasting a massive amount of food because of the termination of normal demand, like hospitality, hotels, restaurants, is also off the charts. So we need to figure out a way to grow the table in 3 ways. Who gets to produce the food? How much of it is diverted to use? And how and who can access it? So those 220 growers are largely more conventional growers, more white-led organizations, et cetera. We want to divert a bunch of the demand, also this excess demand, to BIPOC farmers, to women farmers, to LGBTQ++ farmers, and bridge them into a new food economy that's much more representative of society and carries with it a lot more racial and gender equity. So we're going to reach out to those farmers and not only have them participate in the pick and pack out expense, but we're going to pay them for their harvest, at least the wholesale value, so that they can be disproportionately represented in the food economy post-COVID. And the food banks, they are constrained in their storage capacity and their labor base right now. They don't have any more storage, and their labor base was very dependent upon senior volunteers who can no longer congregate. So we're proliferating the delivery sites, not just to food banks, but school districts, community-based organizations, and the reactivated restaurants that World Central Kitchen and Chef Jose Andres have consolidated, coalesced. And then de facto, as a result of expanding the supply and the accessibility on the demand side, we hope to push much more fresh fruit and vegetables through there that are organically and regeneratively grown, because that will be another priority of the program. So it looks like just a big mess that we have to like muddle through, but actually it's an opportunity to durably and permanently shift the food supply chain in favor of racial and gender equity and environmental resiliency and climate mitigation. Sorry for the long monologue, but that's what I mean.